The arrival. The massive Krathol command vessel hung in the darkness of space like a predator watching its prey. Supreme Commander Vexillar stood before the observation window. His four eyes narrowed as he studied the blue-green planet that rotated slowly below. Earth, the third planet in this unremarkable solar system, looked peaceful, vulnerable, and utterly ripe for conquest. Preliminary scans complete, Supreme Commander, announced Science Director Zinda, her slender fingers manipulating the holographic display. The atmosphere is oxygen-rich, gravity at 1.03 of our standard, and the dominant species appears to have achieved rudimentary space travel and nuclear capabilities. Vexillar's mouthparts clicked in amusement. Another primitive world thinking itself important by shooting radio signals into the void. He turned to his war council. The Krathol Empire requires this planet's resources. Their abundant water alone would sustain our colonies for centuries. General Kazmor, head of the invasion forces, stepped forward. His battle-scarred exoskeleton gleamed under the ship's lights. Their military capabilities are laughable. Projectile weapons, primitive aircraft, a handful of orbital satellites. They have no unified planetary defense. And their transmission history? Vexillar inquired. Zinda brought up another display showing Earth's broadcasting timeline. They've been sending signals into space for merely 80 of their planetary cycles. Their most advanced quantum computing is equivalent to our children's educational tools. Perfect, Vexillar declared. Prepare the harvester ships. We'll begin extraction in their northern hemisphere, where the largest freshwater reserves are located. He paused, mandibles flexing thoughtfully. And what of the humans themselves? Bipedal mammals, Zinda reported with the clinical detachment of a scientist discussing laboratory specimens. Short-lived, but surprisingly adaptable. They've spread across nearly every environment on their planet. Their genetic material shows interesting resilience properties that our bioweapons division would appreciate studying. Vexillar nodded. Deploy reconnaissance probes. I want detailed scans of their major population centers before we strike. When the invasion begins, I want it swift and overwhelming. As the War Council dispersed to carry out their orders, Vexillar remained at the window. The Krathol had conquered 17 worlds before this one. None had resisted effectively. This Earth would be no different, if only he knew how wrong he was. At NASA's Deep Space Monitoring Station in New Mexico, Dr. Eleanor Ellirise stared at her computer screen with growing concern. For 3 days, she'd been tracking unusual signal patterns at the edge of their solar system, patterns that defied natural explanation. "Hey Marcus, can you take a look at this?" she called to her colleague. Dr. Marcus Chen abandoned his own terminal and peered over her shoulder, his brow furrowing. "That's not a comet," he muttered, adjusting his glasses. "The movement is too deliberate." "And there's more than one," Ellie added, expanding the view to show multiple anomalies. "I count at least 17 distinct objects, all changing velocity in tandem." Marcus pulled up a chair. "Have you run this through the new algorithm?" "Yeah," Ellie said, pushing a tablet toward him. "It's predicting an Earth intercept trajectory." She hesitated before adding the words they were both thinking. "Marcus, this looks like a fleet." They exchanged a glance pregnant with understanding. As two of the world's leading xenophysicists, they had spent their careers searching for evidence of extraterrestrial life. Now that the evidence was screaming at them from their monitors, the reality was far from the joyful first contact they had imagined. Marcus reached for the secure phone. "We need to call General Harrington. Now." Within hours, observatories around the world confirmed the approaching objects. 24 hours later, as panic began to spread through governments worldwide, the first Krathol harvester ship broke through Earth's atmosphere over Lake Superior. Its massive silhouette blotted out the sun as it hovered over the water, extending extraction tubes that began draining the lake at an impossible rate. By sunset, similar ships appeared over the Amazon basin, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Yangtze River, Earth's most precious resource. water, was being systematically stolen before humanity's eyes. The world's military forces responded with predictable but futile aggression. Fighter jets scrambled worldwide, missiles launched, artillery fired, all with the same result. The alien vessels' shields absorbed or deflected everything humanity threw at them, while smaller craft deployed from the harvesters began systematic attacks on military installations and power grids. At the Pentagon's Emergency Operations Center, Lieutenant General Sophia Rice, Ellie's older sister, coordinated what was rapidly becoming a losing battle. "What's the status of the European response?" she demanded, as officers and analysts rushed around the underground command center. "The UK and France launched tactical nuclear strikes 10 minutes ago," her aide reported grimly. "No effect. The aliens deployed some kind of energy field that neutralized the warheads before detonation." Sophia slammed her fist on the table. "What about the Chinese hypersonic missiles?" "Same result, General. Beijing is dark. Shanghai too." Across the globe, humanity was learning a terrible truth. Their most advanced weapons were useless against an enemy that had clearly been traveling between stars, while humans were still figuring out how to build firearms. In the first 24 hours of the invasion, 30 major cities were attacked, global communications were severely disrupted, and Earth's military capabilities were reduced by an estimated 60%. Casualties numbered in the millions. The Krathul were winning, and they hadn't even deployed their ground forces yet. Dr. Marcus Chen refused to accept defeat. While governments worldwide scrambled to respond to the invasion, he had sequestered himself in his lab at MIT with a precious cargo, tissue samples from a downed alien scout ship. "Their cellular structure is fascinating," he muttered into his recorder as he peered through an electron microscope. "The membrane permeability suggests adaptation to a low-oxygen environment, probably with different atmospheric composition than Earth." He switched to a different sample. "Muscle density is remarkable, but shows signs of strain. I theorize their homeworld has significantly lower gravity than Earth." A commotion outside his lab drew his attention. The door burst open, and Ellie rushed in, accompanied by 2 military police officers. "Marcus, thank God you're still here. We need to evacuate. The aliens have landed ground forces in Boston." Marcus shook his head. "I can't leave. Ellie, look at what I found." He gestured to his microscope. "These aliens, they're struggling with our environment. Their respiratory system can't efficiently process our atmosphere, and their muscular structure is being strained by our gravity." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying they have weaknesses. Fundamental, biological weaknesses." His eyes gleamed with the first real hope since the invasion began. "They're stronger and more technologically advanced, but Earth itself is hostile to them." Before Ellie could respond, the building shook violently. Dust rained from the ceiling as the sound of distant explosions grew closer. "We need to go now, Doctor," one of the MPs insisted. Marcus hastily gathered his samples and research notes. "Get this to General Reyes," he told Ellie. "Tell Sophia that Earth is a weapon they never anticipated." As they rushed from the building, the sky above Cambridge burned with the alien assault. Transport ships descended through the smoke, disgorging armored Krathul soldiers who moved with unnatural speed despite their apparent discomfort. Marcus and Ellie barely made it to the military transport when a Krathul patrol spotted them. Energy weapons fired, cutting down one of the MPs instantly. The second returned fire with his rifle, bullets pinging harmlessly off the alien's armor. "Get down." Ellie pulled Marcus behind a concrete barrier as energy blasts superheated the air around them. The surviving MP tossed a grenade, which exploded near the Krathul patrol. To everyone's surprise, while the explosion didn't penetrate their armor, several of the aliens staggered and fell to their knees, their breathing apparatus visibly damaged. "The concussive force," Marcus exclaimed. "It's disrupting their breathing equipment." The MP didn't waste the opportunity. He fired again, this time aiming for the aliens' breathing masks. Two of the craft full collapsed, their bodies convulsing as they were exposed to Earth's raw atmosphere. "Get to the transport," the MP shouted, continuing to provide covering fire. Marcus and Ellie sprinted for the waiting vehicle. As they climbed aboard, Marcus turned back to see the brave MP fall under concentrated alien fire. The transport doors slammed shut, and they sped away as the aliens closed in. "Did you see that?" Marcus asked breathlessly. "Their breathing apparatus is a critical vulnerability." Ellie nodded grimly. "But how does that help us against their ships?" "I don't know yet," Marcus admitted, "but it's a start. For the first time since they arrived, we know they're not invincible." As the transport raced through the chaos of a world under siege, neither scientist realized they had just discovered the first piece of a puzzle that would determine humanity's survival. Supreme Commander Vexillar was displeased. The invasion was proceeding, but not as smoothly as anticipated. "Explain these casualties," he demanded, gesturing to the report on his command console. General Casmore shifted uncomfortably. "The humans are adaptable, Supreme Commander. They've already identified weaknesses in our ground forces' environmental suits and are exploiting them." "Impossible. They are primitives." "Primitives who are quick to learn," Zinda interjected. "Our intelligence indicates they've captured several of our scout ships. They're studying our technology, our biology." Vexillar's anger was palpable. "Then we accelerate the timeline. Deploy the Terminus weapon." Both officers stiffened. The Terminus was a biological agent designed to render a planet's atmosphere toxic to its native species while making it more hospitable to Krathul physiology. It was a weapon of absolute last resort. "Supreme Commander," Zinda protested, "our studies of Earth's ecosystem are incomplete. The Terminus may have unforeseen." "I did not ask for your concerns, Science Director," Vexillar cut her off. "I gave an order. Deploy the Terminus. Let us end this resistance before it truly begins." As his officers departed to carry out his command, Vexillar returned to the observation window. The planet below no longer seemed so insignificant. These humans were proving interesting, but it wouldn't matter soon. No species had ever survived the Terminus. In orbit above Earth, specialized Krathul vessels moved into position, preparing to release the biological agent that would rewrite Earth's atmosphere and end human civilization forever. Humanity strikes back. General Sophia Rice stared at the secure video feed in the underground command bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains. After the fall of Washington, D.C., what remained of the United States government had relocated to this hardened facility, one of the few communication hubs still operational worldwide. On the screen, her sister Ellie and Dr. Marcus Chen explained their findings about the Krathul biology. "Their entire physiology is adapted to a low-gravity, low-oxygen environment," Marcus explained. "Earth's conditions are literally toxic to them without their environmental suits. That's why their ground forces are struggling despite superior technology." "We've observed something else," Ellie added. "Their ships maintain internal atmospherics matching their homeworld conditions. It's their safe haven, and potentially their greatest vulnerability." Sophia leaned forward. "How do we exploit this?" "Their shields neutralize everything we throw at them." "Not everything," Marcus said. "We've been studying fragments from their scout ships. Their shield technology specifically counters high-energy weapons, nuclear, plasma, even kinetic bombardment. But it has a critical gap. It doesn't effectively block electromagnetic pulses. An EMP would disrupt their systems." "Temporarily," Marcus confirmed. "But if we could deliver something biological, a tailored pathogen designed to attack their respiratory system, during that window." Sophia's expression hardened. "You're suggesting biological warfare." "They're about to do the same to us," Ellie countered, her voice urgent. "Our deep space monitoring stations have detected specialized ships moving into position. They match the profile of biological weapon delivery systems. How long do we have?" Marcus and Ellie exchanged glances. 48 hours, maybe less. Sophia rubbed her temples. Even if we develop this pathogen, we don't have delivery systems capable of reaching their ships. Most of our military assets are destroyed or pinned down. There might be another way, came a new voice. The camera panned to reveal an older man with silver hair and the bearing of someone used to authority. Dr. William Harrington, former director of DRPA and Sophia's mentor, stepped into view. Operation Aegis, he said simply. Sophia's eyes widened. Aegis is real. I thought it was just a conspiracy theory. Very real, General, Harrington confirmed. After the Roswell incident in 1947, certain far-sighted individuals in government realized we might one day face exactly this scenario. For over 70 years, we've been secretly developing defensive technologies based on recovered alien artifacts. What kind of technologies? Marcus asked. Orbital platforms with advanced weapon systems, stealth satellites, and prototype ships with limited FTL capabilities, all powered down and hidden in the asteroid belt or disguised as space debris. The Krathul don't know they exist. Hope flickered across Sophia's face for the first time in days. Why haven't these been activated? They were meant as an absolute last resort, Harrington explained. Using them reveals capabilities we wanted to keep secret. But now, he gestured to the devastation visible on auxiliary monitors. I believe the time has come. Across Earth's orbit, the battle raged. The Krathul technology was superior, but the human attack had been perfectly coordinated to exploit their weaknesses. The element of surprise, combined with the Aegis weapon's effectiveness, gave humanity a fighting chance. As the space battle distracted the Krathul fleet, a smaller ship detached from the defender and approached the massive command vessel. Inside, Sophia Rise led a strike team of 20 elite soldiers, each carrying specialized equipment including delivery systems for Dr. Chen's pathogen. Remember, people, Sophia briefed her team as they prepared to board. Our objective is the Environmental Control Center. Once we introduce the pathogen into their life support, we have exactly 10 minutes to get out before it circulates throughout the ship. The boarding was violent and precise, using shake charges designed to penetrate the hull without compromising the ship's integrity. The strike team blasted their way inside during a moment when the shields were fluctuating. The Krathul defenders were taken completely by surprise. Used to overwhelming their enemies with superior technology, they were unprepared for close-quarters combat with human soldiers who had been specifically trained to target their vulnerabilities. Sophia's team fought their way through the alien corridors, using specialized ammunition that disrupted the Krathul breathing apparatus. 3 humans fell to alien weapons, but the remainder pressed on, driven by the knowledge that Earth's survival depended on their success. When they reached the Environmental Control Center, Sophia deployed the technical specialists on her team. While the remaining soldiers held off Krathul reinforcements, the technicians worked to interface with the alien systems. This architecture is unlike anything I've seen, one specialist muttered, fingers flying over his equipment as he attempted to bypass the alien security. You've got 3 minutes, Sophia warned, firing another burst at approaching Krathul soldiers. Finally, the system yielded. We're in. Sophia handed him the container holding the pathogen. Do it. With a series of commands, the pathogen was introduced into the Krathul life support systems. A countdown appeared on their devices, 10 minutes until the pathogen would reach lethal concentration throughout the ship. Fall back to extraction point, Sophia ordered. Move. The retreat was as brutal as the ingress. More human soldiers fell, but the survivors fought with the desperation of those who knew their sacrifice might save their species. Sophia was the last through the extraction point, diving through the breach as Krathul energy weapons superheated the metal around her. As their ship detached from the command vessel, Sophia allowed herself one moment of hope. If their mission succeeded, the Krathul leadership would be decimated, and the pathogen's spread would cripple their fleet. Supreme Commander Vexlar knew something was wrong before the alarm sounded. A strange sensation in his breathing, a burning in his lungs. Around him, Other Krathul officers began to cough and stagger. The life support, Zinda gasped, her scientific mind quickly grasping what was happening. The humans have contaminated. She collapsed before finishing, her respiratory system failing as the human pathogen rewrote her biology from within. Vexillar fought against the encroaching darkness. How? How had primitives achieved this? As his consciousness faded, he accessed the ship's database, sending one final transmission to the Krathul homeworld, a warning about the species they had so fatally underestimated. Throughout the command vessel, Krathul soldiers and officers succumbed to the pathogen. Similar scenes played out across their fleet as the contaminant spread through connected life support systems. Ships drifted, their crews incapacitated or dead, weapons falling silent. In orbit around Earth, humanity's forces, the revealed Aegis fleet alongside conventional military assets, moved to secure the disabled alien vessels. The Terminus ships, neutralized early in the battle, were towed to secure locations where their deadly cargo could be safely contained and studied. The invasion that was meant to subjugate Earth in days had been turned back in hours once humanity revealed its true capabilities and determination. 3 months after what became known as the Battle of Earth, a ceremony was held at the reconstructed United Nations headquarters in Geneva. The world had begun the long process of rebuilding, using recovered Krathul technology to accelerate reconstruction efforts. General Sophia Reyes, now heading Earth's Unified Defense Command, stood at the podium before representatives from every nation. "Today, we honor those who gave their lives to protect our world," she began, "and we look to the future with both caution and hope." Behind her, a large screen displayed the first images from the reverse-engineered Krathul communication technology. Scientists had finally decoded the final message sent by Vexillar before his death, a message that had revealed the true nature of the invasion. "We now know the Krathul were not simply conquerors," Sophia continued. "They were the advance force of an empire that spans dozens of star systems, an empire built on the subjugation of other species and the exploitation of their resources." She gestured to where Marcus Chen and Ellie Rice sat among the dignitaries. "Thanks to the work of our scientists, we've also learned that Earth was not randomly selected for invasion. The Krathul targeted us because our world is uniquely hostile to their biology, making our planet, and potentially humans themselves, a threat to their expansion." Sophia's expression hardened. "Using the communication technology we've recovered, we've sent our own message to the stars. Not a plea for peace, though we would welcome it, but a warning. Earth is not defenseless. Earth is not unprepared. And anyone who follows the Krathul example will meet the same fate." As applause filled the hall, Sophia knew that humanity's victory had come at a terrible cost. Millions had died, cities lay in ruins, and Earth had been forced to weaponize its scientific genius in ways that would change human civilization forever. But they had survived. More than that, they had proven that despite their relative youth as a spacefaring species, humans possessed qualities that made them formidable: adaptability, determination, resourcefulness, and a fierce will to survive. The message Earth had broadcast to the stars was being received by distant civilizations even now, carrying a simple but powerful warning to any who might consider Earth an easy conquest. "We are humanity. We have defeated the Krathul Empire. We stand ready to defend our world. This is why no one survives attacking Earth." In the vast darkness between stars, other species received this message with growing unease. The Krathul had been considered invincible, their technology unmatched. If these humans had defeated them, perhaps this insignificant blue planet warranted a wide berth after all.